Hi there, this is video SG7 sinusoidal graphing, and we are going to look at what C does today. Actually, truth is third time's a charm. Let's go through this. So, number one, you need to remember if there's no brackets, there's no C. So when we have an equation, let's say y is equal to 3 sine 2x minus 30. That's a C. But if I have, let me move that so you can see. I'll write it up here. Y is equal to 3 sine, whoops, no bracket, 2x minus 30, which looks almost exactly the same. That's going to be a D value. So you need the brackets for it to be C. I have one of those tables where you're just, here's an equation, find me A, B, and C, and D. The numbers can be whatever because you're not having to graph them. If you have to graph, the value of C will usually be some multiples of 30 or 45, some kind of like an angly number. And D is usually between 0 and 5. Like this one would be absolutely ridiculous to graph because your midline would be minus 30. I don't want you to graph that. I don't have to mark it. You probably have to like stick pieces of graph paper together. It's ridiculous. Don't do it. Okay, so that's another way. If you're trying to figure out your midline is like plus 30 or minus 90, stop. I think there might be a mistake. It's probably supposed to be that value. All right, so let's flip over to Desmos. Come on, check. There we go. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to put a C is equal to 0. That's where we're supposed to start. So what I want you to do is take a look at this point right here. So the C has to do with horizontal shifting. Technically, it's called horizontal translation. Remember, the D value was a vertical translation where it took the whole graph and we shifted it up or down. Well, C, that takes the whole graph and it shifts it from side to side. Okay, so if I start moving C, you can see my start is moving. And I can move in both directions. That's what you need to know. That's why C is normally 30. So it would be like if it was 45, it would get offset all the way to here. So our graphing is not ridiculous. Sorry, just want to make sure I get everything before I have to flip the camera. So as C changes, let me just scroll out here. Yeah, we're good. So what is happening? Ooh, I'm going to turn it on. Let it go. What is happening to my amplitude? You're right, nothing. Right? My midline isn't changing. My maximum isn't changing. So the distance between is not changing. Amplitude, nothing. Maximum, nothing. Minimum, nothing. Period. Yeah. By the time. All right, so if we look from there to there, it's kind of hard to see, but it's shifting back and forth. But okay, stop. If I put it to 10, you can see this is just offset a little bit. And so is the end. So the period is not changing. And neither is the midline. The only thing that's changing is its start. So it moves the start and the mathy word, do you remember what I said? Horizontal translation. In other words, you can imagine if I put it on a piece of, I'm be really old here, acetate, like on an overhead, and I was just shifting the paper back. It's not changing my shape, it's just shifting where the start is. All right, Gonna flip back to dot camera. Boop. Okay, so what does C do? It changes the start. Fancy schmancy word for that is horizontal translation. I rarely remember to use that. I usually just say it changes where the start is. And this part, it says key, but it's one of those things that's nice to remember. But if you don't, it's going to be okay. If C is positive, it shifts the graph to, okay, so the phase shift is phase shift, horizontal shift. Yet another mathy word that I use instead of saying, hey, where it starts. It shifts the graph. So if this is positive, it shifts the graph to the left. With means it's going to have a negative start. Yeah, should always work that way. And this one to the right, positive start. Not huge. It's just one of those things you can do at the end to make sure, oh yeah, my C value is plus 30. My start should be somewhere to the left of the x-axis. I don't have to worry about how much, just it's over there somewhere. All right, next one. Oh, let's see where we go here. Mark the start of each graph. Okay. This is what happens when I put one graph on over another. So you can see why I don't want to do that. So this one, the blue one, is y is equal to sine x. So that's our normal one. We know where it starts. Okay. So y is equal to sine minus 90. If it's a minus there, that means it shifts to the right. So when we do the calculations, it's going to start there. So that one and that one. And then if this is plus, then we are starting into the negative section. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. If that part didn't stick with you, don't worry about it. There is, whoopsies, move it. There's a calculation. Okay. And this is this here, right here. If I could put little lights flashing to you, this is the key you want. If there's a value for C, the graph doesn't start at 0. And I guess I didn't add it, but it probably doesn't end at 360 either. So shifting the two of them together. All right, that, let me check. Oh, yep, that's the end of that video. Have a spectacular day.